You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Let's go!
All right, folks, welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison, here with my co-host and fellow agitator, Adam Keller. We are joined on the show today by Queen of the Coal Miners' Wives, Hayden Wright. Hayden, thank you for calling in.
Hey, Jacob.
Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. So, just to keep everybody on the same page, can you turn the music is still going? Yeah. To keep everybody on the same page, just a reminder that coal miners down in Brookwood are still on strike. There are 1,100 of them that are walking the picket lines. They are not going into work. They have walked off the job from Warrior Met. They are now into their 8th week. They're into their 8th week striking against Warrior Met, and the company isn't budging, so we can't budge in our support for the workers, for the union, and for the strike. So we're still covering it, and we're still doing everything that we can to support them. And this week has been a week filled with violence, but not from the union, like so many would have you believe. It has been violence perpetrated against striking coal miners by scabs and bosses. So Hayden, can you talk to us a little bit about what is going on at the picket lines down in Brookwood?
Yes. Yesterday we actually had 2 vehicles attack strikers on our picket lines at 2 separate locations. The first one happened at 99, which is off of 216. We had a white dog pass by the picket line, turn around, and then come back and run through the side of the road. They ran
I'm sorry.
fire barrel, they ran their trailer.
Hayden, you're breaking up.
Yes.
You're breaking up just a little bit. I'm not sure if there's something that you can do with your phone or.
Is this better?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Yes,
so
but
what was?
we actually
Yeah.
had a truck turn around in order to get on the correct side of the road to run through a picket line. There was 2 men there. One of them was struck with a fire barrel. Actually, his wife is part of our auxiliary. That happened early in the morning. And then yesterday, a little bit later in the morning, we had a boss intentionally hit one of the union representatives that isn't even from our locations. He is actually down from West Virginia supporting the strike and has been here for a month.
That's just crazy. They're going out of their way to hit folks on the picket line, and this is something that Kim Kelly pointed out in her tweet. You can find Hayden Wright on Twitter at Hayden Wright. It's HAEDEN Wright. And she's got the videos on there. And something that Kim pointed out when she shared your video is that y'all oftentimes like being on the picket line is kind of a family affair down there. You know, you've got your family, you've got wives, you've got children, you've got grandparents on the picket line, and people, and they're trying to run people over.
That's correct. My own children have been there. And this is completely unacceptable. We're trying to demonstrate a right that we legally have to protest. And in Alabama, there's statutes that say we're not allowed to have anything to defend ourselves on the picket line, or we can be arrested.
That's why. And that is, I mean, that's insane, because Alabama I mean, I think that kind of illustrates the degree to which the concern of our political class is not about workers, because Alabama is a stand your ground state. It's a state that has in our laws that if you're just a citizen and you feel threatened, if you feel that your life is in danger, you are legally authorized to use deadly force against a person. And we can talk about, whether or not...
Exactly, unless you're actually using it as a peaceful assembly, and then you have no rights.
Exactly right. I mean, that's exactly right. We can talk about the benefits and the cons of having a stand your ground law, but where does it not apply? It doesn't apply when you're on the picket line, and when you have a real and legitimate, there's actual real threats on y'all's life, but y'all can't have weapons on the picket line because it's classified as a protest, and you're not allowed to have weapons at protests. I mean, I wonder why that is, that you're not able to defend yourself when you're fighting peacefully for your rights. But Well,
and you'll notice the guy that was directing traffic, which is of course a paid person from where you're met. The reason the man was crossing the street is he called him over to him to ask him a question.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy directing traffic there called this man across the road and then let a truck hit him and did nothing. Stood there.
Right. I mean, and I saw that. This is somebody that's ostensibly supposed to be, a security person. They're not. Are they a sheriff, like a Tuscaloosa County sheriff or Jefferson County sheriff, or are they paid, or are they private security?
I believe that he is a private security. I do not believe that he's actually a police officer for the county. We're still trying to get clarification on that because you couldn't see his face or the front of his shirt.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, that's exactly right. You can see it in the video where there's this person who's, even if he's a private security guard, he's ostensibly supposed to be enforcing laws and making sure that nobody gets hurt and things like that. And there was absolutely no, there was no indication on his part that he wanted to do anything to stop violence from happening to the picketing miners. Now, after that happened, he got in between the strikers and the cars so that they couldn't defend themselves. But he was
exactly.
Yeah, but he was not at all interested in making sure that the strikers did not get hurt.
And I think that's a big misconception that I'm saying, too, about what we were talking about earlier, about having our children on there. Personally, this morning on Facebook, which I tend to avoid because that's more drama than what I like to have to deal with, we have someone with a fake account that was like, well, you shouldn't have had your children on the picket line anyway.
Mm.
And I was like, well, obviously you don't know UMWA history or really the history of the labor movement as a whole.
Right.
Because historically, change happens when women, children, families take a stand on the picket line.
That's exactly right.
People need to know that when our husbands signed that contract at Warrior Met,
mm-hmm.
that contract and the unfair labor practices didn't stop when they signed in and signed out at work.
Right.
That affected our entire family.
Right.
So we're all fighting this.
Y'all are all fighting this, and why shouldn't, picket lines should be safe for striking workers' families to be there. The only reason that it wouldn't be safe for them to be there is because of bosses and scabs attacking y'all. And so,
That's victim blaming.
Right.
To me, to even make those comments that, well, you shouldn't have brought your kids. That is blaming the victim.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's like telling, when you hear about somebody being sexually assaulted, it's like the first question you ask is, what was she wearing? We now accept, that's not okay. It doesn't matter what she was wearing. She, a woman deserves to be able to be in public without being accosted. And in the same way, workers and their families have a right to be able to protest and have a picket line without worrying about being attacked by scabs and bosses.
You're exactly right. And then his follow-up was, he tagged me and he was like, well, what does it have to do with you? So I informed him. I said, well, first of all, I head up the auxiliary for 2 of the locals.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I'm doing well past my 16 hours a week for our union.
Right.
So I will defend my union brothers and my union sisters, not just at Warrior Met, but at any union that's being attacked that way.
That's exactly right. And that goes to what does it have to do with you? I mean, that ties in exactly to where we ended with Cooper Caraway from South Dakota. All struggles of workers are really, I can't stress that enough, how interconnected we all are, and how, if y'all lose, knock on wood, God forbid, but if y'all lose this fight, then the next coal mines that negotiate a contract are going to be able to point to y'all and say, look what they accepted. What makes you think you're better than them? And then your communities are going to suffer because the local grocers, the local retailers, the local restaurants aren't going to have as much money coming in because this is a coal mining town. The people with the best income are going to lose a lot of it. And it's
exactly.
just so, across county lines, across state lines, across country lines, all of our struggles are connected. And you're more than even me or Adam or David or Cooper in South Dakota, but you especially. But we're all connected and we're all invested because we're all workers. And when workers win, then we all win.
And not even just mining, but if they see a company and a corporation with stockholders getting away with this and they're treating workers this way and there's no local media coverage, this is going to be for all unions across all labor organizations. That is giving people the grounds to say, hey, it's okay if we treat people like this. No one is going to stand up and stop it. No one's going to stand up to us.
Right.
That's exactly right. I mean, that's been this race to the bottom that we've seen across our economy is, companies competing on just how much they can get away with. And, this violence on the picket line is so unacceptable. And unfortunately, it's something we've seen more and more in recent years of people using their vehicles directed at protesters. We hope and pray everyone stays safe down there. And we appreciate you getting the word out and shedding light on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna bring you on for.
You.
Thank you. And we're going to bring you on. I've got just a couple more questions for you on the other side of this break. If you could stay on the line. Folks, you're listening to the Valley Labor Report. We are talking to Hayden Wright down in Brookwood, Alabama, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Folks, welcome back to the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison here with my co-host Adam Keller. We are on the line now with Hayden Wright. She is queen of the coal miners' wives down in Brookwood, Alabama, giving us a report from the picket line. One more thing on the, on the violence that y'all have been seeing from the scabs and the bosses. How has it, you mentioned that you knew the wife of one of the people that was hit, and of course, how has dealing with that affected y'all's families, like emotionally and psychologically and all of that?
Well, I would say one thing that the strike has done, it has brought a lot of the wives from Warrior Met together. Because, honestly, if you haven't had a spouse work there, if you're not familiar with what it's like to have a husband that works 12 hours, 6, 7 days a week, you really don't know the toll that takes.
Right.
It's hard to explain to people who haven't lived that. And I really think that we've come together as a group. Like, I love all the wives. Like, we're one group. I see them as being my family. We're all very supportive of each other. We all are putting in hours on the line. We have some ladies that are out there every time their husband's on the line, they're with them. We have ones every time we're doing pickups for the strike pantry. Every time we're unloading. Every time we're giving out bags. They're there willing to help out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
even the ones who can't physically be there, because, some of these guys are driving 2 hours even to get to this shop. They're still supporting each other on social media. They're reaching out. They're making sure everyone's okay. And that's what people need to understand. That's what a union gives you. A union gives you that support system. A union gives you that family, that we're going to take care of each other, that we respect each other, and that we're going to make sure that you're okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's such a that's such a good example of what unions can be and what unions can do, I think. Can you talk to us about some of the ways that that the wives have been supporting their supporting the strike, and talk to us about your strike pantry that y'all have going on right now, and what that has been able to do for the strike, and what it's been like to be a part of that. Because I think that's so cool that y'all have been able to do that, and that's been like a bottom up kind of thing, is my understanding. Like you and some other wives just got together and we were like, hey, we want to support the strike, and we're going to do this, right? I mean, there wasn't like a directive from the International that came down and told y'all to do this, right?
That's correct. Actually, a few wives had started getting donations at number 4's local. And they realized quickly that, hey, we're going to need more help. We have too many people. We can't just do this with a few.
Right.
So then I reached out to Larry Spencer, and I was like, hey, we need to do something to support these guys. We need to get the strike pantry up and going to where we can supply it to everyone. So we set up the PayPal account. It was amazing, the support that we received from that. We set up with Grace Klein, and they are doing donations for us every other week. So we have about 25, 30 between all the auxiliaries that are pretty much there every week, because we're making at least 200 bags a week. We give them out a lot of times at the rallies. We give them out at the hall.
Mm-hmm.
This last week, we made hot dogs and chips for everyone at the rally. So about 300 hot dogs and chips for the families to come, because our rallies are at 6 o'clock at Tenny Hill. So everyone's welcome to attend those. We're also working even on back to school. Because we don't want the children to suffer or not have what they need because of the strike either.
Right.
So it's really important, and it's really brought a lot of us closer together. And I don't think people realize local for 2397, which is number 7 mine, they've had an auxiliary for about 31 years. Their president, Ms. Evelyn, she's amazing. But we just formed the auxiliary, which combined number 4 mine and number 5 mine. So we actually haven't been an auxiliary, an official UMWA auxiliary, but for a few weeks, because we had to elect officials and those type of things.
So y'all,
so we've been
really
working hard behind the scenes, yes.
Yeah.
Trial by fire on that to jump in right in the middle of this struggle. And something you said about growing closer together, I think that's something that's pretty universal in the labor movement, that the relationships you forge in struggle when you are, deep in a fight and you have each other's backs, those are relationships that sometimes are even deeper than family, because you've been there together and been through the good, the bad, and the ugly of a struggle.
Yes.
And that's something that, that is the best of the labor movement. And for those, I know there are a lot of listeners who maybe have never belonged to a union, or, don't even know where to go to find a union. Mm-hmm. Maybe you work in non-union industries. That is one of the most important things about the labor movement. It's not just, that on average we have better wages, better benefits. It's the relationships, that you are in a community. And when we say, sister and brother, that's not just, talk. That's real. We have each other's backs, and I think that's one of the things I've witnessed with y'all down at Brookwood, because you don't have a choice. You got to have each other's backs to go through this kind of struggle, because it is a pretty epic struggle. I mean, 8 weeks, and the greed that this company has demonstrated is remarkable, even by contemporary standards, because we got a hell of a lot of greedy corporations in this country, in this world right now. But Warrior Met just
exactly, and we're not even asking for more. We're just asking for some back of what we had that we gave up.
Y'all are just trying to catch up.
Save Warrior Met.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things that I have the least patience for, is the narrative about the greedy worker, and especially the greedy union worker, because time after time after time, you see even union workers, you see workers all across the board sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice for their companies and for their countries and for their families, and then it's the companies that are never willing. It's the executives that are never willing to do the same. You know, I mean, UAW is one of the prime examples of people saying that that the UAW bargained themselves out of a job or something, and it's their fault that jobs are going overseas. But if you actually look at what happened, you can look in 2008 when everything crashed. UAW, the workers, voted to accept collectively so much concessions. I mean, cuts to their wages, cuts to their benefits, cuts to their health care, everything across the board to save, along with tax breaks and subsidies from the taxpayer. But they took a lot of sacrifices as well to save the big three U.S. automakers. And what did the executives at the big three U.S. automakers do? What did they sacrifice? Nothing. They got stock buybacks after that. And then when they went on strike back in 2018, and I went and walked the picket lines, I had some people that had the nerve to tell me that they're going to strike themselves out of a job. And I hear the same thing about y'all down there when y'all sacrificed so much in 2015 and 2016 for this company. And the CEO, after they went bankrupt, the board of directors say the same. They did not take a pay cut. They're making more than they ever have. And now they are refusing to give y'all back just what you had, much less to give you like some sort of bonus, some sort of pay back for all the sacrifices that you made over the last half a decade. I mean, I have no patience for the greedy worker narrative. It's totally false. It has never happened. Workers have never asked for too much.
No, if anything, workers don't ask for enough.
That's exactly right.
Because we've been so taught not to value our own labor and what we're doing for these corporations.
Right. Yeah. Because where does it end? I mean, it's always more that they want to take. It's always less that they want to offer, and it seems to never end. And that's, I think that the struggle you guys are engaged in is a microcosm of our entire economy. There's really so much about the struggle in Brookwood represents so many other struggles across the country. And on a personal note, I want to shout out Hayden. I hope I don't put you on blast too much, but Hayden is also a full-time English teacher. So in addition to leading up these auxiliary efforts and busting her tail for 10, 20 hours a week extra just to help feed her comrades down there, she's also a full-time teacher. And teachers, that's another good example of workers where, by and large, everyone's there for the right reasons and doing what they believe is best. And unfortunately, it's too often taken advantage of by those in power.
Yes.
Yeah. Hayden, we're coming up on the end of this segment. Where can people go to donate to the to your Strike Pantry Fund?
For the Strike Pantry, I have a PayPal. You can find the link on my Twitter. Kim has shared it as well. I know that you guys, I think, have shared it too. And then for international, for the Strike Aid Funds, they don't have an online donation platform, but I also have their address posted on my Twitter as well.
Okay. And what's your Twitter account?
Mine is just Hayden Wright.
Haeden.
D-E-N.
Yep.
WRIGHT, yes.
All right, folks, go find Hayden Wright on Twitter. Make sure you donate to the Strike Pantry Fund. Is there anything else that you want to leave us off with before you head out?
No, I just want to thank you so much for your continued support and solidarity that everyone has shown to us. We wouldn't be able to keep holding on one day longer if it wasn't for everyone joining together with us.
That's exactly right. So, folks, make sure that you go and it's absolutely our pleasure. We are so happy to be able to do it. And so, folks, make sure that you go donate to their Strike Pantry Fund. Make sure that you follow her for updates from the picket line on Twitter. She has a fantastic account, always sharing good information from down in Brookwood. And we're going to be right back with a story about some other meat workers from a immigration lawyer out in California has called in. Going to be talking to Ken Martinez Gomez. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report.
If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week, get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. And if you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there. And I promise this weekend I'm going to clip segments and you're going to start seeing them on the YouTube channel again next week. We have just been so caught up and so busy with other stuff. I haven't been able to clip the past, almost a month of shows I haven't clipped yet. So got to get that done. But, this is a two-man show and you don't have to pay for it. We appreciate it if you do, but you don't have to pay for it. So, in some ways you get what you pay for. But we also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. We're behind on that as well. Going to be working on that. We're going to try to get caught up this weekend. But to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website where you can buy our hats and our stickers, thevalleylaborreport.org. We've still got probably about 30 hats or so left. We're getting down a little bit on the supply. We bought 100 and we've sold a good bit of them. And I've got probably about 10 hat orders that I need to mail out this week. Again, we're gonna have a Valley Labor Report work weekend this weekend. I think that's what I'm gonna be doing. If you don't want a hat though, but you still want to support us, the best way to do that is throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.